Hello and welcome back to Mondo Musings. I'm your presenter Nick Carter McLean with your NCAA Indoor Championships Women's 60 meters form chart. Now, driven by this season's performance data, we take a look at how defending champion Kemba Nelson stacks up against the 15 other women seeking to prevent her from emulating Jamaican compatriot Ramona Burchell, the victor in 2014 and 2015, and American Muna Lee as the only women to claim back-to-back titles in the 60. Let's get into it. 16th on our form chart is Missouri State's Madison Meredith. The Birmingham, Michigan native punched her ticket to the big dance in Birmingham, Alabama by clocking a personal best 7:23 to win the Missouri Valley Conference title. At number 15 is Florida State's Edidiong Odiong. The Nigeria-born Bahraini also left it late to finalize her arrangements for NCAA Indoors, ultimately booking passage with a massive 7:23 PB run in her heat at the ACC Indoor Championships. University of Central Florida sprint hurdles ace Rania Jones makes an appearance in the 14th spot. One of the favorites to medal over the barriers, the 21-year-old who set a 60-meter PB off 7:23 at the Charlie Thomas Invitational, took out the American Athletic Conference title with a time of 7.31 seconds. Melissa Jefferson out of Coastal Carolina is another athlete set to make her NCAA Indoors debut in the 60. The emerging talent, who was probably in thanks to a then PB of 7:23 at the Bob Pollock Invitational in January anyway, made absolutely sure of her place by storming to a new lifetime best of 7:22 to claim the Sunbelt Conference crown. At number 12 is Irish Lady Longhorns gem Rasidat Adeleke, a sprinter gifted enough to post top 16 times in all three indoor sprints. In the field, courtesy of a 7:21 PB at the New Mexico Collegiate Classic, the rangy runner warmed up for Birmingham with a third-place finish in the 400 meters at Big 12 Indoor Champs. Sitting one spot outside our top 10 is Florida's Samira Killebrew, who was a virtual lock to get in after laying down a personal best equaling 7:19 effort at the Bob Pollock Invitational. Ranked 5th on our form chart heading into SEC Indoors, the compact sprinter came home 6th in a time of 7:26 in a field overflowing with top 10 rankers. Meanwhile, 10th on our form chart is Tennessee's Joella Lloyd, whose failure to defend her 60-meter title at SEC Indoors somewhat overshadowed an encouraging uptick in form. With successive season's best performances in College Station, the young Antiguan, who was 6th in 2021, continued to burnish her credentials as a consummate championship performer. A spot higher is LSU's Favor Ofili, whose exploits over 200 meters at SEC Indoors put everything else squarely in the shade. That everything else included a 7th place finish in the final of the 60, in a time significantly slower than the Nigerian had run in her heat. In 8th position is Oregon's Jaden Mays, who pulled off a coup to claim the Pac-12 60-meter crown on Conference Championship weekend. A 7:15 PB over a 10th faster than she'd ever run struck like a bolt from the blue, and it just might have surprised training partner Nelson, too. Death and taxes are just about as certain as Arkansas's Jada Baylark, 7th here, finding a way into championship 60-meter finals. 6th on our form chart heading into SEC Indoors, the hard-charging Lady Razorback, who was 7th last year, pieced together back-to-back SBs to strike silver. As it turns out, Rosemary Chukwuma's successive personal bests of 7:21 and 7:20 at the Texas Tech Shootout were a harbinger of big things to come. And as far as things of this magnitude go, for a Texas Tech Lady Red Raider, there aren't many things bigger or more satisfying than getting the better of Texas's star sprinters as Nigerian Chukwuma did at Big 12 Indoors. At number 5, meanwhile, is another budding sprint hurdling star, in the person of Florida's Grace Stark. The fearless youngster from Michigan went toe-to-toe with the SEC's best in her secondary event in College Station, ultimately missing a medal by mere milliseconds. An absolute force of nature over 200 meters, Abby Steiner, who features at 4, remains a bit of an enigma in the shorter sprint. Following her third-place finish at SEC's in a time slower than her prelim run, there are still a few 60-meter questions floating around college track and field's speed endurance queen. Oregon's Kemba Nelson had a 3-race win streak in 60-meter finals this season snapped in her last outing. The collegiate record holder in the event did, though, come away with a season's best 7:15 clocking in the Pac-12 Championships finale. Interestingly, that time is actually slightly faster than the 7:19 best with which she entered last year's championship. Back to full fitness and firing on all cylinders this season, Texas's St. Lucian sprint star Julian Alfred sits at number 2. Like Nelson, she too was just nudged from the top step of the podium in a conference championship final contest. And like Nelson, she also features in a Caribbean-flavored subplot which revolves around a rekindled rivalry between two of the region's finest 22 and under sprint talents that dates back to Champs days. And at number 1 is LSU's Alia Armstrong, who dispelled any notion that she was just a hurdler by showing her more seasoned short sprint opponents a clean pair of heels at the SEC Indoor Championships. Of those left floundering in the rapidly rising star's withering wake, only Texas A&M's Zanae Smith didn't qualify to compete at the Birmingham Crossplex. Suffice to say, on performance, maybe as opposed to pedigree, Armstrong is a worthy top seed on the eve of what's sure to be a hellaciously hot battle for sprint supremacy. And that's it for this edition of The Musings. Now, the million-dollar question with which I'll leave you is, can Kemba do it? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below and let's get a conversation going around what's guaranteed to be one of the spiciest events on the upcoming NCAA Indoors program. And you can look out for the men's version of the form chart, which will be published shortly. Thanks as always for watching. Until next time, Godspeed.